Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Stopping now, for I'm flagged for copyright allegations. This is the only top hat I have. I got it for a Halloween outfit. Honestly, I only needed it's actually a steampunk one, and I only needed the goggles that came with it. But the hat, I'm like, fuck it, I'll have it in case I need the hat. And the ironic thing is, I would probably look more like a pilgrim wearing this thing, at least in this camera and lighting, than I do with like Willy Wonka. I need like a completely different color of top hat. But anyway, Wonka, the prequel to what I believe it's supposed to be the prequel to the Gene Wilder one. I don't think anyone's actually fully come out and said whether or not it's the Gene Wilder or the Johnny Depp one, but I think it's widely believed, and I think even the director said the idea was the Willy Wonka, the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka. The prequel to that movie that no one actually asked for, but to be fair, well, that's not true. A lot of people ask for movies. I was about to say no one asked for any movie. That's not true. People ask all the time. But the the prequel to the Gene Wilder movie, his origins, where he comes from. That's what we're looking at, and that's what we get. And look, I didn't really care that much, honestly, until the first trailer came up. And even when that first trailer came up, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm like, okay, or am I going to tell you, like, I'm over the moon, like, I gotta go see Wonka! But I would be lying if I said I wasn't at least somewhat interested in it. It looked pleasant and charming, and the director, who was Paul King, did the Paddington movies, and I love those movies. Those movies have so much heart and charm and warmth to them. So I went into this hopeful, but not knowing what to expect. Let me put it this way. Based on what I had heard and based on the trailers, I wasn't expecting anything bad. I just didn't know how much I would like the movie. I really, really enjoyed this movie. This movie has such charm and heart and whimsy to it. You can tell this is Paul King. This feels like it would fit directly into the Paddington universe. And that's not a bad thing. It has that whimsy and magic you want from Willy Wonka, while still feeling like its own thing. It does not feel like a retread of either two Willy Wonkas. The stuff that you see in the movie that is references like things in the original Gene Wilder movie, the contract fine print, the golden ticket. Trying to think of a couple other things his whole, shtick of quiet up and listen down or something like that. His words speak, his a couple of lines that came from the original and then those lines come from. Nothing seems like it's forced. It actually feels natural because we're looking at the origin story of where he came from, why he wanted to be a chocolate maker, and how he how he would ultimately become the Gene Wilder version of this character. Timothy Chalamet is just a joy to watch in this film. He's got a decent singing voice. Like, the musical numbers are perfectly adequate. Many of them are very charming. They actually do feel like they'd be better on stage than in the movie. They do feel like they are almost like Broadway stage. Not like in terms of like, oh my god, this is a Broadway hit song. But no, I mean like this kind of song you would hear on stage in Broadway. The way it's positioned, directed, all that, it's fantastic. My hair is doing a weird thing right now. There we go. But yeah, Timothy Chalamet, he's just got this vibrancy, this life, this bouncy joy to him that he just wants to do what he loves. It as a character, as the girl in the trailer, and her name is Noodles, puts it, like the greedy will beat the needy every time. It's like the city's run by the greeds, run by the chocolate cartel, which I can't remember the two of them, but Slugworth is a big character in this one. He's one of the three big chocolate makers in town. And I've heard some people say they can't see how this character turns into the Gene Wilder Wonka. But I actually disagree because I'm seeing all of his, like, you can tell he's taking everything in as he comes. You can see where all the groundwork is kind of laid for him turning into that version of Wonka, who is still very childlike in nature as an older man. No, I mean, Gene Wilder's Wonka, I think, was supposed to be like, what, in his 40s or something like that. But yeah, very childlike wonder, that mad genius, but the world has now worn on him in the original movie, where he's seen the worst, not the worst side of people, although he definitely has seen it, but just like the uglier side of people. And that's why he's looking for a kid. He wants someone who's pure, innocent, pure chocolate, pure delicious kids. Yum, yum, yum. But no, he's looking for that someone who's who's just good. He's looking for the good in the dark, the light in the dark. He's still got a lot of optimism, a lot of hope, but he's also a little bit more jaded and cynical in the original compared to he is here, where he's still very naive, optimistic, and somewhat of a bit of an idiot at points too. It's revealed in the movie that there's, as smart as he is, he had to teach himself many of the things he knows, and most of it just revolved around chocolate making. So there's things, the basic things he doesn't know how to do. Like, for instance, he doesn't know how to read. And so he actually has to learn how to read as the movie goes on. But yeah, I can see where the groundwork for him turning into this slightly more harder edged Wonka, I guess is the better way to put it. He's got that bit of a harder edge, I think, is a good way to put it. I can see the trajectory for that in this movie. But a movie is only as good as the supporting characters. Wonka himself is the lead, and that's important, but it doesn't matter if he's good if the supporting characters aren't at least somewhat at the same level. And fortunately, everyone is fantastic in this movie. You have Olivia Colman, who's this, and what's the guy's name who's like her attendant / lover? What is his name? There's Olivia Colman, who, by the way, I didn't even know was in the movie, so I'm like, oh, it's Olivia Colman. I love me Olivia Colman. She's one of the few good things about Secret Invasion. Let me see here. Okay, what was their names? Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on, IMDb. Thank you. Let's see. What was ship's captain? Murray Map Seller. Where is he? Okay, Timothy Chalamet. Ship's engineer. Where is that guy? Is it Tom Davis? Bleacher. Yeah, Tom Davis. Tom Davis and Olivia Colman play these guys who basically kidnap people and force them into sweatshops. And they're kind of main players for a little bit in the movie. Like, they're main side players, I guess is a better way to put it. And they're terrible people, but they're fun. They are so much fun. Especially, they don't get a song, luckily, but they have this weird romantic subplot with each other. So there's that. You have the three candy cartel owners who are played by, I believe it's Matthew Baton, who plays Fickelgruber, Matt Lucas, who plays Prodnose, and then Peterson Joseph, who plays Slugworth. They admittedly are, I think, the weakest part of the film, but that's not saying they're bad. It's just everything else is actually a lot more elevated than they are. They're cartoony, and they're cartoony evil, but it works in the type of film we're dealing with here. So I let it slide. But they are probably the weak. The film doesn't stop when they're on screen, but it does feel like I'd like to get back to Wonka because he's a lot more likable than you guys and whatever. But they're charmingly evil for what it is. You have the people he gets to know while he's stuck in the sweatshop because he gets stuck having to owe the owners. And by the way, I'm giving you only minor spoilers, nothing serious. I'm not going to tell you anything serious about it. Obviously, there is Noodle, who's played by Kala Lane. She's adorable. I loved her. And she's an integral part of the story because her side story is actually integral to an overall plot in the movie. And when we get to the end, it's really, really, I'll talk a little bit more about the end a little bit, but a really great payoff for that. But you get these side characters too, such as Jim Carter, who from Downton Abbey. You got Rocky Thatar, or playing Loda Bell. I don't remember where she's from. I don't remember the name of the plumber woman, the black woman. I remember she is from the Sonic movies, and she plays the sister of the wife. So I do remember her. So yeah, and then you get Keegan-Michael Key, who plays the chief of police. Oh my god, I loved his scenes. I love Key and Peele in general, but I loved his scenes. Everyone is just on point. They know the type of movie they're in. It's like a reality that is leaned in towards just enough of the fantasy. And obviously Hugh Grant too. Hugh Grant, whenever he's on screen, he's a joy to watch. The effect is pretty solid. It's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be perfect. It's just you need to be with the character less than the effect. Now he's not. Now I will say that's another thing. He's not in the movie a lot. Neither is Rowan Atkinson, who plays a corrupt bishop. I remember that. He's in the trailer. And he's not in the movie a lot, too. In fact, he's really only kind of near... Rowan Atkinson is really only in the end of the film, like the climax of the film. Hugh Grant doesn't even show up until maybe halfway through, and he's only in maybe... how many scenes? 4 scenes? 4 scenes? But he's great in those scenes. I loved him. I would have liked a bit more of him. Now, before I continue on, talk about the end, and no spoilers for you, I'll just give my general take. I will first off say I really recommend this movie. This is gonna be a good Christmas film. I have no doubt about that. This is the perfect type of Christmas film. It has charm, it has magic, it has heart, it has that just whimsical music that Willy Wonka has. You know, that do 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 do. Like, they play that throughout the majority of the film. That being said, the majority of the songs, like 90% of them, are all new songs. And most of them, like I said earlier, are like, they feel like they should be on a Broadway stage. Again, not necessarily for quality, but style. They feel like Broadway musicals. Honestly, it's kind of a little bit of the issue I actually had with Mary Poppins' Return songs. They weren't bad. They just felt like it's supposed to be on a stage, is what they were. A lot of these songs felt a little similar to that. But they're all good songs. I did hear someone when I was watching Brad's take on this, Brad Jones, Cinema Snob's take on this. He made a good point. They do sound a little samey, and that is because, well, Timothée Chalamet has a solid voice. Really not a bad singer. Now, he's not a Zac Efron, Haley Bailey, or whatever, but not a bad singer at all. The style of song and his voice, it sounds a little samey a lot. It does seem to be a very similar style between some of these songs. But when he's got maybe someone else to sing with, it changes up a bit. When it's someone else singing, Keegan-Michael Key and the Chocolate Cartel, they all have a song together. Do you got a sweet tooth? I do. That one felt very on stage kind of performance for me. I'm like, all right, I'm digging this. I really am. It's a good time. No alcohol required. To go a little Jeremy Johns and that. But before I get to the end, that being said, like I said, the songs are a little samey. The villains are probably the weakest part of the film, but that's not an inherently bad thing. That just means a bunch of good things, they're on the low end of the scale. And even then, they're still very entertaining for what they need to be doing. I don't think I would say it's badly paced at all. I will say it is a prequel, so you do know that, when they're in peril, they're going to find a way out of the peril because it's a prequel. We know what ultimately happens to Willy Wonka down the road. So I will say the predictability of knowing that he'll ultimately be okay is there. If you're someone where that bothers you, that type of thing with prequels bothers you, you might take issue with the film. For me, that doesn't bother me at all. As long as the film is good. I have no issue with the Hobbit films because, first off, I like Desolation of Smaug, probably the best of the 3. It is probably the best one. A little too much time in Lake Town, but best one. Honestly, I like them a little better than at least one of the Lord of the Rings movies. I know that's sacrilegious to say. I find Bilbo a far more engaging character than Frodo. It's one of the reasons anyway. Plus, you get a great CGI dragon effect. But yeah, that doesn't bother me with those prequels. The Star Wars prequels don't bother me because I know where it's going. The Star Wars prequels bother me because I don't think they're very well made movies. But regardless, Other than that, there's really not much negatives to say. The end of the film, though, that's where the emotions started to get for me. I will not say too much. I will say that it involves Willy Wonka's mom, which we know we see that she's in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler. And if you can kind of guess where I'm going with this, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you can kind of imply. There's a very touching scene involving a shot of his mom and him and a bar of chocolate. And you can see the message coming a mile away, but it's still so beautifully done. And look, anyone who knows my history, anyone who knows what I've kind of said on this channel before about my personal life, you'll know about you'll pick up, and if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I mean. I'm like, that's where the tears were starting. I never actually did cry in the movie. I'm not saying that like as a pride, man. No, men can cry. Come on, it's fine to feel emotions. But I will say, I'm like, I was getting close. I'm like, oh jeez, why you gotta make me feel feelings? So yeah, but then it leads into another very well done emotional moment. And it's the only time where one of the original songs comes in. I will say it's imagination. I think we could all guess that of the original songs, that was the only one that was actually going to make it into the film. Because there's not going to be any Cheer Up Charlie. There's no golden ticket, although the golden ticket is definitely referenced in the movie, and you can see where the origin of that can come from. There's no golden ticket. There's no there's only one Oompa Loompa song, really. Well, technically there's two. Actually, there's three, technically, but they're not true songs in the movie. They're more like little side notes as he's narrating. You have, I'm trying to think. I Want the World isn't going to be in there at all. In fact, really, when you think about it, think about this for a second. And I don't count that's a poem he's doing in the tunnel, not a song. When you actually stop and think about it, while Willy Wonka is technically a musical, there's the Candyman. I forgot the Candyman. Okay, there's 4 songs. Most of the songs are actually done by the Oompa Loompas. They're they're not really musicals. But Candyman could have been in here, but no, I think most of us knew very quickly it was going to be imagination of the original songs. But it's a slightly different version of the song. It does have a lot of like say come with me and you'll be in a world of imagination. Like it's definitely, but there's also you're scared and unprepared and maybe feeling a little trepidation. That's a line he has. I'm not gonna not context is everything. I'm not gonna say what the context is. All I'm gonna say is it's a different variation, at least to start with the version till the very end of the film. And it's just a very touching moment. And then it leads to one of the other lines from the movie, which I won't say what it is, but it's just a movie that made me smile. It made me happy in the cockles of my happiness. And look, in this day and age, with our very, very political world and, war going on and, people who hate for no reason other than to hate, it's important for us to have these types of movies and have these types of experiences to make us understand that there is still good in the world and there's still joy and love and happiness to be had. You might have to work at it. You might have to struggle for it, but you will attain it and you will have, one of those great things that you will never want for again on that front. There's nothing honestly more important in this world than love and happiness and kindness. We're watching Doctor Who and my girlfriend, and I know, and I've only seen bits and pieces of all the doctors, but I've seen a bunch of speeches, and I remember Capaldi's like, I think it's like, hate is foolish and love is wise, and to be kind. And like that's a message we can all get behind. And this is a movie that kind of really represents that a little bit. Just love and happiness and joy. And when you feel it, you want to share it, and hopefully it's like the good disease. Just spread it down the line until everyone's just smiling with this grin. So look, there's my message to all you. But no, seriously. Look, I do recommend this. As someone who loves the original, it's still better than this movie. Like the original just has the beauty of the classic charm of that film, of that era. Gene Wilder, honestly, I love Timothy Chalamet, but Gene Wilder can't be beat. This is better in my opinion than the Johnny Depp Wonka. Not to say that that one is bad as a completely reimagined version of the story, but it isn't. A lot of people just think find it a weird. From my understanding, I agree, it is a weird film. But as a reimagining, it's still a unique idea. But this is just a much better film than that. So yeah, ultimately, of the three main Wonka films, actually, if you want to get technical, excuse me. Oh god, sorry, I just ate. I'm amazed I didn't have that happen earlier. Of the three main Wonka films, if you want to count Tom and Jerry and Willy Wonka, 4. This is probably the second best one. And look, that's not saying a lot given the amount, but in terms of quality, that I think that's a good recommendation. So yes, I very much recommend this film. Take your friends, take your family. This is actually would be a very wonderful family film. Very wonderful family film. And of the stuff currently out right now, let me just I'm going out later to see Wish again tonight with a friend who wants to see it and hasn't seen it yet. So, but let me see. Of the things out right now, I mean, what's really family friendly? Die Hard. Come on, who doesn't love Die Hard? Godzilla -1. Kids love Godzilla. Let's be honest. But no, seriously. Wish is family friendly, absolutely. Trolls Band Together would be a nightmare for the parents, but it's family friendly. But that's it. That's it. 2 animated films out right now. Neither of them are amazing. One I think is fine. The other is but look, kids will like it. No, yeah, this is perfectly up the alley for like family friendly charm. Then next week we have Aquaman, which will be like we'll see how well that does. The DCEU's last hurrah. Will this one be able to go out with a bang or snuff their fart out with a whimper? I don't know. All I know is thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you folks for the next one.